State House proposes the creation of a $5 million annual fund for Maine's family planning services.
That bill would require the state to cover some future federal funding cuts if those go through, with state legislators debating how exactly that money can be used. Christian Harsa has more now as lawmakers heard testimony today. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Brian and Amanda. Yes, this bill, LD 335, would create an annual $5 million fund for family planning services. And if the federal government were to cut some funding, Maine taxpayers could be on the hook for another $5 million a year.
I'm very proud to sponsor LD 335, an act to safeguard reproductive health care.
There are three parts to this bill, sponsored by Representative Amy Kuhn. The first creates an annual $5 million fund to pay for family planning services.
This is a really fundamental right to make choices about one's own life.
Kuhn, a Democrat from Falmouth, says the bill would secure much-needed funding for 63 clinics across the state.
As we know that a lot of folks who go there, it's the only health care visit they will have all year.
Republican Senator Marianne Moore from Calais sits on the Health and Human Services Committee, and she says she sees a lot of other needs out there.
It's funding that we could use that money for our veterans' homes, we could use it for our nursing homes, we could use it for our hospitals.
The other two parts of LD 335 are preemptive measures, just in case the federal government cuts family planning funding related to Title X or Maine Care. If that happens, Maine's Department of Health and Human Services would need to make up the difference. In total, Planned Parenthood of Northern New England estimates that cost could be another $5 million each year.
They're anticipating it. Well, I hate to give money, set aside money just in case. And that's what it keeps sounding like.
Planned Parenthood would get some of that money, but the funds are earmarked. LD 335 would fill holes created by a tax on federal funding streams that do not cover abortions and enhance family planning funding for non-abortion services. The cruel irony is that the services that are under fire are non-abortion services that keep Mainers safe and healthy. Ann Ross from Hamden doesn't buy that and agrees with Senator Moore that the money can be better spent.
We should use that money to support women who want to have their children, who need to have local care.
Advocates of LD 335 stress that the care they provide is essential, often used by people with no other options.
I spend most of my time doing wound care. I spend a lot of time doing pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV.
Nurse practitioner Ellen Tarashi works for Maine Family Planning on their mobile medical unit in the Bangor area. She sees LD 335 as a way to get more care to Mainers.
Increase our staff to get out into Piscataquis County, get out into Washington County, all these places that have no other resources that we need to be paying attention to.
Senator Moore is the Republican on the Health and Human Services Committee, and she says that this bill would have to undergo some pretty substantial changes for it to get her vote, meaning that this bill is not likely to pass unanimously through committee. In Augusta, Christian Harsa, News Center, Maine.